It's going to limit their growth beyond a certain point because, doing work for free is not scalable, because when you post ads on Indeed and tell people I want you to work for free so I can keep my closing rate high, it's not going to go very well.
I can see the whole wide world with these two eyes, and I can be whoever I want to be, 'cause it's my life.
Hi, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Ask Spurrell CPA. Today, as the Edmonton Business Consultant, we're talking about why 100% closing rate is bad. So as the Edmonton Business Consultant, we're telling you that why 100% closing rate, it's often bad. So I have Denise here with me today. So Denise, have you kind of seen? We've been in this together for a few years now.
That's right.
Have we seen how some businesses think that booking every customer is a good customer?
Yeah. We've done it ourselves, right?
Yeah. And the 100% closing rate, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Right.
So the quote that we have here today, it's a Zig Ziglar quote, and it says, "It is unwise to pay too little. When you pay too much, you lose a little money. That is all. But when you pay too little, you sometimes lose everything, because the thing that you thought was incapable of doing what it was bought to do." In the common law of business, balance prohibits paying a little and getting a lot. And most customers know that, right? The statistic that we have is 50% of all Canadian businesses go out of business within 5 years, and 29% of these failed businesses will list running out of cash as one of the primary reasons that their business failed, making running out of cash, the second most common reason for business failure. And the story that we see time and time again are business owners that come in and they're proud. They actually think it's a good thing. They say they're closing 80%, 90%, 100% of every lead that they get, of every proposal for their product or service. And unfortunately, it's not all that's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
So, Denise, what are the questions that these business owners should be asking who are closing all of their proposals?
Yeah. So, Josh, the first question I have is, how much money are the businesses that are booking all their leads making?
So generally, when we look at the businesses, they're booking all their leads, but when we compare them, if we compare that contractor who's booking all of their leads to the contractor who's only booking a third of his leads, the guy who's only booking a third of his leads is actually the one who's making more money. So, booking 100%, obviously you don't want to book 0%, that's a problem too. But booking 100%, when we look at it, of the scale of all our businesses, that we help, whether they're contractors or medical or everything in between, if they're booking 100% of their proposals, generally those aren't the businesses that are making money.
So are these normally one-person businesses or businesses with small teams?
Yeah, normally the guys who are booking everything, they'll be the ones who, they're either a solopreneur, they got 1, 2, maybe 3 guys. They're not the bigger business. They're not the 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 employee clients. They have it's just themselves, or it's a very small team. So we're looking at, what's the common denominator? They're booking all their jobs. The ones who come into us and say they're booking all their jobs, they're generally not making the most money, and they have the smallest teams. So that's just what we're noticing, with the businesses that come and say they're closing all of their leads.
And so do they normally have enough of a budget to hire people to do all the work required?
There it is. So they close the project, but a lot of times they're closing the project only because they're not charging a market rate for that project. So when they're not charging a market rate for that project, they don't have enough money to actually hire the people that's necessary to do all the work with that. So that's just what happens. They book at a high percentage, but they actually don't have enough money to hire a team to help them do that, deliver that product or service.
So does this mean that the business owners effectively working for free?
It does. So the business owner feels very good about, I'm booking 80 to 100%, but it's very easy to book 80 to 100% when you're effectively agreeing that you're doing half of the project or a third of the project or 10% of the project for free. Customers tend to go for free.
Yeah.
They're getting a component of the project for free if you're underpricing it. So it's not that you're an amazing salesperson. That's a humbling conversation to have with these business owners, that You're not booking these because you're an amazing salesperson. You're booking them because you're agreeing to work and do some of the product or service for free.
Yeah. So does this time limit eventually make it impossible to grow beyond a certain point?
100%. Every business owner only has 168 hours in the week, so they can only do a certain percentage of the projects for free. If they can't, if they're not charging enough to hire people at market rates to do the project, they can only grow so big because there's only so much work that they can do in a week for free. So it's going to limit their growth beyond a certain point because, doing work for free is not scalable, because when you post ads on Indeed and tell people I want you to work for free so I can keep my closing rate high, it's not going to go very well.
So do these owners also have a false misconception that the price is the most important?
Most of the time. So those tend to go hand in hand. That's the rookie entrepreneur, the early stage entrepreneur. It usually goes hand in hand. They think that the only way to book clients, to make sales, is to be the cheapest. So they get into that false misconception that it needs to be the cheapest in order to make the sale, right? So they're too scared to sell anything other than the cheapest because they think it's impossible, right? That's the employee mindset catching up with them.
What are some considerations that customers normally value more than price?
Yeah, a lot of times it's features. Everyone looks at the cell phone that you have. The cell phone that you're using is not the $20 gas station phone. The $20 gas station phone is the cheapest, but it's not the one you're using because it doesn't have the features that you want. So customers value the features. Customers value the reputation of the company that they're doing business with. They'll pay more for someone with a good reputation than someone with a bad reputation. Customers value things like warranty. If the warranty is longer, they're going to pay more. They often value speed. If you can deliver it quicker, sometimes they need it now. If you have a basement that's flooded, you're going to hire the plumber that's available now, not the cheapest plumber, even if he's available a month later, because your basement is flooded now. So there's a lot of other considerations out there that customers value more than price, and we use them ourselves. And when you start pointing them out to business owners, the vehicles that we buy, they aren't the cheapest. The phones that we buy aren't the cheapest. The clothes that we buy, isn't the cheapest clothes at Value Village. We're not buying the cheapest things ourselves, but the business owners, they think that the cheapest is the only way to go, and it's a false misconception. And there's a number of things that, although price is important, it's involved in the buying decision, it's usually not the highest consideration.
So once you have a differentiated value proposition, will it fit every customer? Yeah.
So then what you have to do is you have to establish, am I going to be the quickest? Or is this the one with the best reputation? Am I going to hire the best people? And you're going to have these, we're looking for this particular type of client. But when you're looking for this particular type of client, the leads that are going to come in, they're not all that particular type of client. Some clients, let's say you're going after to be the quickest. Okay, you want to be the quickest. So then the person calls and they're looking for the one with the best reputation. Well, they're not going to pay that extra value. They're not going to value that speed as much, so they're not going to be willing to pay a premium for that speed. So that customer is not going to fit into your box. So not every customer, once you develop that really differentiated value proposition, it's not going to fit every customer. So some customers are not going to choose the service, and that will cause your closing rate to decrease. That's just a natural, that's this natural chain of events by establishing a differentiated value proposition.
So will some customers be willing to pay more for a specific value proposition?
Yeah, then now you have these two customers, and one values reputation and one values speed, and you're the guy who's the quickest, and you make it really clear that you are the quickest. Now that customer, so you had two leads come in, you're only booking one of them as opposed to two, but now that customer is willing to pay more for your specific value proposition. And that's really that's the key. That's what business is, really. Competing on price is almost a fool's game. It's very difficult to do for small businesses who don't have the deepest pockets like the big guys. It's really flushing out that value proposition and finding, hey, what are the things that the customer really values, and they're willing to pay more for.
So can you then use that extra profit on each transaction to build a team and scale?
That's exactly what a business is. So now you establish that specific value proposition of, you make it really clear of what you're able to do, what you're going to do better than your competitors, and you find the customers who value those considerations, and they're willing to pay more. And now you're making more, although you're not everyone is falling in, not everyone is a good customer. The ones who are willing to pay more, and now you can use that extra those extra profits, that extra gross margin on each transaction, and you can actually hire the team at fair market rates to actually execute that, the components of providing that product and service, right from the sales to the execution to the follow-up. And you're no longer just getting work because you're willing to work for free and do the things below market rates because you can't afford to actually hire the people on it. So that's really the key. I mean, that's what business is defining what your value proposition is. And once you define what your value proposition is, you have to come to the realization that not every customer, not every lead that you get is going to be a good fit for that value proposition, and you're willing to sacrifice them because the ones that it is a good fit for are going to be willing to pay more. And now you can actually use those extra profits to actually build a team to execute the components of the business, so you can actually scale this business and make more money. Right. So that's really the key. So I think that's what we have here today. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, we enjoy any feedback that you have. Please leave it in the comment section so we can respond back and use your input for future videos. And as always, please hit the like and subscribe button so we continue to deliver you tips on how to beat the odds at business. Thanks very much.